What's up, listeners? We're back with another PSA, public sports announcement. I'm your host, Sam Delgado. You can follow me on Twitter at SamFD_. I'm here with my co-host.
What's up, y'all? My name is Alvin Glimpse. You can also find me on Twitter at the number one ST_ballot_HOF. Thank you all for listening.
What's up? Razan here. Hope everybody's doing well. You could also find me first name, last name on Twitter.
What's your first and last name?
I said Razan Barwani.
All right, you didn't say the last name. Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm not really familiar with the Barwanis.
That's true. We are pretty special.
How you spell it?
Barwani, BHARWANI.
All right, there you go.
Appreciate that.
You might get some follows now. You can catch us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and as always, we're on Go2Fi Life, where we also have merch for you, so go check us out. This week, we're going to be talking NFL trade deadline and how we feel about the moves that were made. We're going to talk about the big debate this week, A-Rod versus Tom Brady ahead of Sunday night's big matchup. And we're also going to talk about the NBA teams off to a bad start. So let's get into it. Razan, what all moves were made this week in the NFL?
Yeah, so this was probably one of the more active trade deadlines around the NFL. We already talked about Damon Harrison to the Lions. We talked about Eli Apple to the Saints, and we talked about Amari Cooper to the Cowboys. So let's get into a little bit more NFC East. That was probably the most active division in terms of getting players. So the Washington Redskins traded a fourth-round pick to the Green Bay Packers for safety Clinton Dix. Clinton Dix was in his contract year with the Packers. They probably weren't going to re-sign him, hence they traded him for a fourth-round pick, which is great value. But the Packers could potentially be a Super Bowl team. They're never counted out with Aaron Rodgers, and their defensive backs are all really young. So it was an interesting move. How do you guys feel about it?
Yeah, I don't like you trading away your Pro Bowl starting safety for a fourth-round pick, no matter who's on your secondary, which isn't that good, is very young right now, but we haven't seen too much to really convince us that they're great or anything. And none of them play safety. I really don't understand why you would trade away your best secondary player for a fourth rounder at that. It makes no sense, and I think this hurts their chances at going deep in the playoffs because they don't have a Pro Bowl safety now.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Sam. I really like Clinton, and the values for it is pretty good. That's the only reason I can excuse a trade like this. But
you think a fourth rounder for him is good?
I think it's okay in the NFL market. Like, I don't fully understand how the NFL works because they give away really good players for really shitty picks, and this one's like not half bad. He's not the best safety in the league. He's a really good one, and fourth round is kind of okay. But for that reason, I kind of understand the trade, but at the same time, it's not like the Packers are rebuilding, so I don't understand why they want draft picks. And it's not like they got a stacked secondary, like you said. You're trading away maybe, outside of Clay Matthews, maybe your best defensive player for a future that
I think Mike Daniels is their best player, but continue.
Who?
Mike Daniels.
Who? Oh, okay. Arguably, I'm not saying he is, but arguably. And at the end of the day, you traded him away for the future, and I don't even, as a Packers organization, I don't know why y'all are looking past Aaron Rodgers. As far as I'm concerned, your vision should not go past Aaron Rodgers' career. We're doing everything to make sure we can win while Aaron Rodgers is here. So the fact that they're trading away Pro Bowl players for the future, I don't really get it when your Pro Bowl player is producing. I don't get it. For the Redskins, though, really good. I mean, good value, fourth-round pick for a Pro Bowl safety. I'll take that. And relatively young guy, like that makes sense for the Redskins. I completely understand why the Redskins did it. It's the Packers that's not quite making sense to me.
Yeah, I think this is a great trade for the Redskins. They're 5-2. They're sitting atop the division, and it's an aggressive move, and I kind of like it. It's not like they need to start looking past Alex Smith. They gave him a pretty big contract, and so he's their quarterback for right now and maybe the next 2 years. So they're putting a decent secondary back there. They have a solid defensive line, so I think they're doing something in Washington. I don't know if this is going to translate to more wins. I don't know if this is going to help them in the playoffs, but it definitely helps in a division. And we'll talk about some of the other trades made later. But Amari Cooper, he's in the division now, and Odell's already in the division. Alshon Jeffrey's already in the division. So you're getting good safety help for the Packers. I don't know why you wouldn't want to re-sign him anyway. He's a hell of a player, and you've looked for DB help for the past 3-4 seasons. You've drafted so many defensive backs, and you're letting one just walk away. If I'm grading this for the Redskins, I'm giving them an A-, just because they don't even know if they'll be able to keep him past this year, or if he was in a longer contract, I'd give them an A+, honestly. For the Packers, this is a C- to me. It doesn't really make sense, and the Washington Redskins now have DJ Swearinger, who is having the best season of his career by far, and now they paired him up with Clinton-Dix. This is a team to watch out for. Like I said, I don't know how far they'll go. They have Alex Smith at quarterback, but this defense is looking pretty scary and extremely young.
Really good point about the draft. The Packers have been drafting a bunch of DBs the last couple of years. We talked about it. Jair Alexander, Kevin King, and can't remember the last one. But they've been drafting cornerbacks and DBs for the last 4 or 5 years and literally traded one away for a 4th round after spending 1st and 2nd round picks on DBs. Just doesn't make any sense.
Also, they traded it for a 4th round. I don't understand. They've spent so many picks on defensive backs. How funny would it be if they traded away Clinton-Dix to take a defensive back with this 4th round pick?
It's definitely possible.
And I want to remember this moment because next draft, I want to go back and see who they take with this pick. And I'm betting, like, there's a good chance it might be a defensive back because their defensive backfield still isn't good.
It's trash. And that would really, that would make this deal even worse. If they go out there and draft a second safety with that 4th pick, bro.
That would just be horrible.
How Clinton-Dix isn't a 4th round safety? Like he's a first rounder safety.
To be honest. He's a first rounder.
So I don't get it.
Yeah, so on top of that, going back to the Redskins, earlier when we were talking about all the teams, we said the Redskins didn't really have a direction or we didn't know where they were going, but this move right here kind of tells me that on top of this move, just how their defense has been playing, they're building a defense in Washington right now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Have a real good defensive front. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne are monsters up there. If they would just
Kerrigan.
Yeah, Ryan Kerrigan. He's been a monster for the absolute longest. Zach Brown, Pro Bowl player. They're definitely building something down there, and I think this is a really good move on top of what they're building.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next team. The Los Angeles Rams, the rich get richer, and they traded a 3rd round pick in 2019 and a 5th round pick in 2020 to the Jacksonville Jaguars for Dante Fowler Jr. So this is a player who was drafted 3rd overall in 2015, and a couple of months or maybe even a couple of weeks after he was drafted, he tore his ACL, and after that, he just really couldn't get back into the starting rotation. And we never saw the talent that a lot of us had hoped for when he was coming out of Florida. But like I said, the rich get richer. So where does this put the Rams for you guys? They're already 8-0. They have Aaron Donald, who's leading the league in sacks. I personally felt like they should have gone for a DB. But what do you guys think about Dante Fowler now being on the Rams? And what do you think about the compensation they got? What do you think about the compensation that the Jaguars got for Dante Fowler?
I think the compensation is pretty good for the Jaguars and for the Rams. I thought they gave up a decent amount for a guy like Dante Fowler. The only thing I have against this move is that in 2 or 3 years, when we look back at this move, I don't know if it'll really matter. I don't think it's going to put them over the edge. Like you said, they already got a good defensive line. They've got other holes in this defense. And so, unlike the Eagles, where the Eagles are kind of stacking the defensive line after pretty much filling the rest of or what they thought was filling the rest of their defense, the Rams got some other small holes, but holes nonetheless, and you're just stacking your defensive line, which is nice. But he's probably not going to be a game changer, and so I would have liked to see them put this capital somewhere else. But with that being said, they're 8-0. Addition like Dante Fowler Jr. will only make you better, only make you deeper. So why not? You can't really get much better. I don't think better than 8-0 is 9-0. So why not?
I agree. I think they gave up a little much given that the Redskins got for a fourth rounder, a third and a fifth is a little much for Dante Fowler. And also, I don't think they really needed him, but Dante Fowler has always been the type of guy that I saw more of as a linebacker in my point of view. So I think it's a possibility that they try and convert him. Linebacker is a position that they're really weak at. They have a safety playing linebacker at the moment. So I could just see them, trying to convert him. But if they don't, the rich get richer, like you said, Razan. They already have a stacked defensive line. He's a great piece for depth and at one of the weaker positions on the D-line, defensive end. So it's a good move just because he's talented. I think they gave up a little much, but why not? They're trying to win now, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, this was a pretty aggressive move, giving up a third-round pick for Dante Fowler. Look, when he's playing, he's become really a situational pass rusher now. He's put up decent numbers in those situations. He's not going to be asked to go and be the guy. We know who the guy is for the Rams defensive line. I personally think that their biggest weakness is in the secondary. Marcus Peters is not having a good year. He's given up a lot of big plays. Marcus Joyner, their franchise player, he isn't playing that well. Aqib Talib has been hurt. And Mark Barron is basically a linebacker right now. So it's kind of tough for me to say you should go give a third-round pick for Dante Fowler, but this is an extremely aggressive move. The Rams believe that they are this man away from winning the Super Bowl because you don't give up a third-round pick for if you think that you can make something out of him potentially down the road. They saw something in him. They felt like they needed to be aggressive in going to get him, and he's going to have a lot of opportunity here because Aaron Donald is going to get doubled, and Dominican Sue might be doubled. I don't know what the situation is going to be like, how offensive line coaches are going to handle it, but he's going to have one-on-ones, and he's going to be put in a place to produce. So it's a good move, and I think the Jaguars got exceptional return because they weren't going to start him regardless. He wasn't going to be that guy for them. They just kind of took their losses, giving up. They took him third overall, which is a lot, which is really high, and that draft class was pretty talented. So it is what it is. Jaguars get pretty good compensation, and the Rams are, they're 8-0, like you said, Alvin. Only thing better than 8-0 is 9-0, and they're doing all the right things. So I can't really judge them for making this move, but I wish they would have gotten someone in the secondary. So moving on, the next trade, the Packers sent Ty Montgomery packing after he fumbled in the late fourth quarter. They sent him to the Ravens for a 7th-round pick. It's an interesting move. I wonder if he would have gotten shipped off if he hadn't blundered the way he had. Apparently, he was extremely frustrated, and the Packers were clearly frustrated with him. So, 7th-round pick, it's not much. He's a former 3rd-round pick, and he was drafted in 2015. So, what do you guys think about this move? Does it help the Ravens? Does it help the Packers? Or is it just like kind of you cross it out and you move on?
Yeah, I think this is kind of you cross it out, you move on. Ty Montgomery was a guy who came in last year. He started a few games for them, had a few good games, but ever since this year, they have their second-year running backs, Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, so there's not much room in the backfield for Ty Montgomery on top of all the receiver talent they have. He's just kind of the guy that got lost in the scuffle among all their skill players. So I think this was just a better move for Ty, and also, get what you can for him. He doesn't get many snaps, so we'll take a 7th rounder for him. I think it's a decent move. I like it for the Ravens because, the Ravens just always need skill players, a guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield, who can line up outside also. The Ravens could really use that at all times. So I like the move for the Ravens. Decent move for the Packers. Not really that notable because he didn't play too many snaps. So that's what I think.
I like this. I don't like any of the moves the Ravens make because I don't fuck with the Ravens. But Ty Montgomery could do something with Baltimore. I think it's versatile. They don't really have a running back worth anything. Ty Montgomery's not really an every down back anyway, but he can do something a little creative. Kind of like when Danny Wedhead was with the Ravens. He was just like a nice jump guy, catch the ball out of the backfield. He could really do some things. But I don't think the Packers are losing anything. I I think they've kind of given up on Montgomery, which is why it was so easy for them to trade it after he took that ball out of the end zone. So I don't really like if you look at his carries and his usage rates, they've gone down when all of their backs are healthy, which is pretty rare. But when their backs are healthy, Ty Montgomery usually isn't their first pass catching back or their first running down back. So he's kind of the odd man out. So ship him off, and whatever you get for him is pretty good value, especially since he stole a chance from Aaron Rodgers 3 days ago. I was like, after deliberately being told by the coach to take him in the end zone.
Yeah, to not take the ball out.
They told him, and in his defense, in Montgomery's defense, I haven't played to see how true this is, but in his defense, he said there was something like he was in a gray area on the goal line, so he didn't know if he wanted to take a knee or in the end zone and be downed at the one, and all kind. He didn't want any funny business with the spot of the ball, which I could understand if it was close. I haven't looked at it in time since then to really look at it, but that's what he said. Still, coaches told you to take a knee in the end zone. It should have been nothing. Do what you got to do to take a knee in the end zone, and now you cost your man a chance.
So, yeah, or don't even catch the ball.
Just let it drop and recover it in the end zone. Either way.
Yeah, and I feel for Aaron Rodgers. They lost the game because Mason Crosby, who's one of the best kickers in Packers history, and that's saying a lot. The Packers have been around for a long, long time and have been competitive for a long time. He had the worst day, one of the worst days a field goal kicker has ever had, which was unfortunate. They lost the game, and now Ty Montgomery. I mean, like, we love Aaron Rodgers, so I have no doubt in my mind that he would have driven them down there to win the game. Like, none. Especially with the way Davante Adams was playing. You knew who he was going to go after. Whenever he needed to get out of something, he looked at Davante Adams, and Ty Montgomery stole that opportunity from him, no doubt. He literally lost them a game because I have no doubt in my mind that Aaron Rodgers would have gone down there and gotten the ball in a position to where they could win the game. A 7th-round pick isn't a lot. There aren't a lot of 7th-round stars in the NFL, but, you know, he's in a better situation now. He has to fight with Buck Allen, and that'll be interesting. But, you know, this isn't that big of a move to me. It's not like it makes either team better. So it is what it is. We'll just see who gets his snaps now in Green Bay. Will it be Jamal Williams or will it be Aaron Jones?
And but just to add to that, Ty Montgomery as a 3rd or 4th string back is a very good option. So
very good, Ravens, absolutely.
Yeah,
very
so
good.
The Ravens don't lose at all.
I mean, he's a receiver turned running back, so you know he has.
That's the problem.
Ability.
Yeah, like either one. Like he's as a 5th or 6th option in the offense, he's very good for whatever.
Yeah, like I said earlier, the NFC East, they were just buyers during this trading period, and Howie Roseman, the Eagles GM, went out and gave up a 3rd-round pick for Golden Tate. This is a move that didn't really make sense to me on the Lions' part. I think the Eagles made a fantastic move. You know, they're having a little post-Super Bowl burnout, but I think that's kind of natural. It happens to everybody but the Patriots. We talked about this earlier, and we all kind of agreed that this was a stupid-ass move by the Lions. So you guys want to elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, the Eagles just cashed out. Like, they gave up a 3rd-round pick for a receiver who's better than Amari Cooper, in my opinion. This is a guy who his last 4 years, he's had 92, 91, 90, and 99 receptions. That's tremendous. Giving up a 3rd-rounder for a guy who can catch the ball like this is great value for the Eagles. He's getting up there in age, but I don't think that's a problem because I'd love to have Golden Tate on my team. I think this is an upgrade compared to all the other receivers they have, minus maybe Alshon Jeffrey. I think they're right there talent-wise, but great move for the Eagles. This really steps them up. They have a great 1-2 punch now. And in terms of the Lions, I'm not sure what they were thinking, although they do have a young receiver, Kenny Galloway, kind of making a name for himself this year. So if they really believe in this guy, I can see maybe why they would have made this trade, but I think they could have gotten better for Golden Tate.
Yeah, I think the key, to me, the only reason why the Lions would have made this trade is that they feel like Galladay can suffice as a receiver going forward, which is okay because Marvin Jones is, like, all right, barely all right. he's a good receiver, but he's not a number one, without a doubt. Not a number one. And
yeah, not a number one.
Galladay is up and coming. So it's kind of I don't know why they got some place in these receivers. Golden Tate was clearly the number one. I don't even know why they moved him. And especially when you're talking about a couple of days ago, they traded for Damon Harrison, which gives a sign that we're going to compete this year. We're trying to win. We're trying to put the best team out there. And you trade away your number one receiver. I don't really get that. That doesn't make sense. And also, I get that. I get as an organization, we should look at our team first and Lions. But at the same time, the competitive edge for me has to come in, and that I'm not trading away my number one wide receiver to the reigning Super Bowl champion who doesn't really lack receiver help. Like, their receivers are kind of as good as ours. So now we're just really stacking their team. And for what? Like, we're not tanking. We're not really reaching. We're not playing really for the future. We're not going to contend because we suck. So where are we going? What's the direction? Are we throwing away good receivers to the Eagles? Give them to somebody else. Trade them to the Cardinals or something. I don't get this. This don't make no sense to me. But shout out to the Eagles because they just really came up on might be one of the best number two receivers in the league, who, like you said, catches the ball each and every game, has a lot of catches, something they need. He drives out to the catch, something they need. So shout out to the Eagles they're not that rich, but the rich just getting richer out there too.
Yeah. I don't know if they could have gotten more for Golden Tate. He's 30 years old and he's in a contract year. And it's like, what do you pay a guy? It's kind of hard for players in the Golden Tate category who are slot receivers but are damn talented. And I think the Eagles are going to have an interesting situation too, is because they have Nelson Aguilar and he's shown promise, but he's not Golden Tate. I think his potential is Golden Tate, to be completely honest. And Golden Tate is shifty. He knows how to move around. We were talking earlier about receivers that would fit in the Patriots system, and Golden Tate is absolutely one of them. This is a win-now move also for the Eagles. It's a great move. And given a third-round pick, I think is kind of high for a guy you don't know if you'll be able to keep. They're definitely not going to franchise tag him, so Golden Tate could literally just walk away after this year and they give up a third-round pick. But, hey, if they make it far in the postseason, they make it to the Super Bowl, it's definitely worth it. For the Lions, interesting move. They got a third-round pick for a guy who they were probably going to let walk anyway. So what we have to look at also when they make these trades are, do we want to re-sign this player? And if it's a no, and if they're in a contract year, you let them walk. And you get whatever you can for the future. But if you're a team like the Lions, who have shown some potential, you don't give away a player who is your quarterback's safety blanket. To me, this move really contradicts what they did with Damon Harrison. Like you said, Al, they got Dame Snacks because they had a shit run defense, and they wanted to work on that because they felt like they could be better. Well, you could have been better, but now you just gave away your best receiver. I don't think Golden Tate's a number one. I think he's a strong number two. I think Marvin Jones is also a strong number two. I think Kenny Galloway is also a strong number two. None of those guys are a true number one. So now they're just lacking a true number one receiver. But when you have 3 twos, it's not that
bad. It's okay.
Yeah,
you can live with that.
I'm not ready to make a call on Kenny Galladay yet because this is his first year really on the team.
I think he's really talented. He's shown flashes. Obviously they see something in him or they wouldn't be confident about giving Galladay away. Giving Tate away and letting Galladay become their true number two receiver in their offense. So we'll see. Time will tell. Third round pick I think is a good price though for a guy you're letting walk away. But it just really if they were like 1-5, 1-6, or 1-7 or 2-6, whatever it was, and they traded away Golden Tate for a third round pick, it would make a lot of sense. But when you're
that's my thing with this. They're one game out of first place.
Yeah, and you're in a division who doesn't show a clear leader. Like the Packers are inconsistent. Nope. The Vikings, you don't know what the hell is going to happen with them. The Bears are really talented.
Even the Bears aren't half bad. Yeah. The Bears are good too.
Yeah, and they're up and down also. So I think you're right there with all those teams. It really contradicts what you were trying to do.
I agree. It shows no direction. It shows no direction.
Yeah. So the next trade is the one that I think really got things going on trading day. Will Fuller tore his ACL recently, and the Texans were looking for receiver help. And the Broncos, who I think they've kind of realized they're not making the playoffs. They have the Chiefs in their division. They also have the Chargers in their division. Aren't making the playoffs, and they felt like they could move on from someone who's been an integral part of their offense for the last 8 years. The Texans sent a 4th-round pick and a 7th-round pick to the Denver Broncos for Demaryius Thomas and a 7th-round pick. This move, the Texans have looked really good since starting 0-3. They're now 5-3. They have arguably a top 3 receiver. I think we have to start talking about DeAndre Hopkins as being that guy. Where do you guys think this trade puts the Texans? And the compensation is all right. They were probably going to cut Demaryius Thomas anyways. He's due $14.5 million, and he's just not worth that. What do you guys think about the Texans? Where does this move put them in the AFC?
I think it's a good move for them. They just lost Will Fuller. They need a number 2. So it's a great move bringing in Demaryius Thomas. He's a guy who's capable. He's kind of on the back end of his career for wide receivers. He's early 30s, I think 31 or 32 or 30. But he still has some talent. He drops a lot of balls, so that's the only reason he's still not a number 1. But, putting him on the other side of DeAndre Hopkins, they got a young guy, Kiki Kuti, over there in the 3rd spot. I think the Texans are very talented, and it's a good move for them. I don't think they gave up too much for him at all.
I agree. I think this is, of all the moves we discussed, I think this is the first one and maybe the only one that helps teams and makes sense for both teams, and I completely understand it. I think even with Will for the team, the Texans needed a number 2 receiver, and now for the time being, you got one. We'll see what Demaryius Thomas got left in the tank and how valuable he'll be down the stretch, but this makes a lot of sense to me. Pair him up with DeAndre Hopkins, and you got a pretty good 1-2 punch. Anybody with DeAndre is a pretty good 1-2 punch. So I don't know. I think this is interesting. I think the value was created. Essentially, you're trading a 4th for him because you're swapping. So this isn't bad. This makes sense for everybody involved, and I've really got no beef with it. I don't know if this is gonna put the Texans over the hump.
Yeah.
They got a lot of holes, a lot of things they got to figure out. But this is a pretty good start. This will help. So I'll take it. And I'm not even the biggest Demaryius Thomas fan.
Yeah, it's kind of a move that, it makes a lot of sense for the Broncos. It doesn't make a lot of sense for the Texans, and this is why. Will Fuller is one of the fastest players in the league. He really stretches out this offense, and he's the guy that when you want a big play, this is who you go to. I get that you have DeAndre Hopkins, but there aren't a lot of corners or safeties that could keep up with Will Fuller step for step. Demaryius Thomas is on the wrong side of 30. He isn't fast anymore. He doesn't have the best hands. He's going to be serviceable, and he's going to be pretty good. But he's not going to be what Will Fuller was, and he's not going to be close to it. He might be a good safety blanket, but the Texans really have to hope that Kuti, I'm sorry, I don't really know how to pronounce his name, can step up and be their deep ball type of guy, because Demaryius Thomas ain't it. He's not it.
Mm-mm.
And it was an interesting move to make. I think someone like Golden Tate would have been better for them than Demaryius Thomas. And if you're in a win-now move, I don't get why you wouldn't give up a 3rd for Golden Tate, who really fits your offense a lot more than Demaryius Thomas. And you gave up a 4th. So I would have personally preferred Golden Tate here, but it is what it is. They know better than I do. But this is a move that I'm going to look back on and be like, yeah, it didn't really make sense for the Texans. I feel like I will, at least. I think it was a great move by the Broncos.
Yeah, I don't really think it's a home run. And I don't really know if they're going to fill Will Fuller's role. That's just a specific role, and there are not that many guys out there. But even with Will Fuller, in my opinion, they still need a receiver. So even with Will Fuller, had they traded for Demaryius Thomas, I would have been okay with it, because it makes sense. I think they could use another receiver in general. But we'll see. We'll see what he's got left in the tank and how well he can review.
So we can all agree that the worst trading move this season so far has been Amari Cooper for a first-round pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as the Cowboys, like their decision to trade for him. Agreed.
Yeah, their decision to trade for him.
But of the ones we talked about, these aren't in the same stratosphere. Like the Cowboys was just a beyond stupid decision. I think Holland Clinton Dix is probably number 2. The fact that the Packers gave him away for 4th round is probably number 2. In my opinion. I think that's going to really come to hurt them.
Yeah, mine might be someone actually trading for Eli Apple because he's not good.
Maybe. That's an interesting one. We'll have to see how he is with the Saints because that is funny.
He was ass against the Vikings.
Yeah, we're going to have to give that one some time. So, all right, for the second time ever, we get to see arguably the top 2 quarterbacks of all time face off head-to-head on Sunday night. The matchup we're all waiting for, Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady. At their best, which quarterback would y'all rather have?
Yeah, first, I'd just like to say that Jordan commercial was one of the best commercials I've ever seen in my life because I had no idea what he was talking about. I was like, wait, he's coming out of retirement? And it completely threw me off. They just kind of set everyone up perfectly. Honestly, one of the best commercials. But I would take Aaron Rodgers, and this is why. He's fucking amazing. Like, I have never seen a quarterback be able to do what he does. From strength, when it comes to being able to look off a defense or look off a safety and just kind of
extend
the play, the arm strength, his ability to just kind of flick it and when he's getting pressured, he doesn't really bring the ball all the way. He doesn't bring his arm all the way back to the front of his body. He just kind of lets it go at the top, and his release is so quick. The plays that he makes are incredible. Brady is amazing, and I don't know if you guys have seen the exchange between the two of them. Someone asked Tom Brady about Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady said he'd throw for 7,000 yards if he was a Patriot. He's so much better than I am. And when Aaron Rodgers was asked about Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers said he's the GOAT. He has 5 championships. You can't really argue that. That's the end of the discussion. So you see a lot of good sportsmanship. I love Brady. That's coming from a Giants fan. I think he's kind of beat Father Time maybe better than any athlete ever has. LeBron might. We haven't gotten there yet. Brady's 41 years old, and it doesn't seem like he's going to slow down anytime soon. I thought he would retire after he had a 25-point comeback in the Super Bowl. I thought, in my head, he thought, this is it. Like, I just came back 25 points. I can go out. I have 5 Super Bowls. But nope, he's still playing. And I think Brady does things pre-snap that a lot of true football fans don't understand and will never be able to understand. And they'll say his offense is just dink and dunk, which it is. But it's like that for a reason. There's a reason that other offenses haven't been able to do what they do. And it's because no other quarterback is Tom Brady. But at the end of the day, the way this question is asked, I look at it as who would I want at quarterback any given Sunday, and it's Aaron Rodgers. I think if Aaron Rodgers had a coach like Belichick or had some of the supporting cast that Tom Brady has had, I think Aaron Rodgers would be in the Super Bowl every year. He's that damn good. He makes everybody around him better. And watching him play is so much fun. The only other quarterback that in recent time that I've liked watching as much as I like watching Aaron Rodgers play is Patrick Mahomes. And that's because he reminds me so much of Aaron Rodgers. I don't think we'll ever see another Brady, but I think this is going to be a hell of a game. I think this is a legendary game. I know for a fact that after the game, people are going to talk about who's better just because of who won and lost the game. And I think that's complete BS. It's going to be extremely hard down the line to put these two guys right next to each other. I think it's a lot like Jordan and LeBron. Jordan has all the championships. He's never really lost. He has all the numbers. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have as many rings as Brady. Will put up similar numbers, maybe even exceed his numbers. And we really can't say who's better until it's all said and done, and both of these guys are out of the NFL. I rest my case.
All right, anyway. Yeah, well, to lay that out there for us. At the end of the day, though, and see, this is the problem with the question. And when we're talking about things like this, and a lot of sports have this argument, and in all honesty, the same argument for me could be had between Michael Jordan and LeBron James, kind of in almost the same context. But if we're talking one game, talking the best of your career, give me A-Rod. Tom Brady wins. Tom Brady just wins. They don't always have to be spectacular. They don't always have to be 28-3 comebacks. He does. He wins. He's got 5. There's no doubt about it. Like you said, his dink and dunk, as some people like, it's just clinical. Call it what you want. It's clinical. And there's not a whole lot you can do about clinical. No one's been able to stop it thus far. But that being said, give me A-Rod. Aaron Rodgers has some of the best throws in clutch moments I've ever seen. And that means something to me. That means something to me that when the game is on the line and it matters the most, you're not just clinical with your dink and dunk because that's important. But sometimes things fall apart and it's all on you. And when it's all on you, what you got? And Aaron Rodgers pulls shit out of his ass. He just does. Give me the magician. And we'll just hopefully the game comes down to one last possession, and I got Aaron Rodgers to drive the length of the field, and Ty Montgomery isn't the kick returner for me, and I'm probably gonna win that game. I feel that way every single time about Aaron Rodgers. So I'm not like, it's close, and I switch on this pretty often, like every year or two. But right now, give me Aaron Rodgers because of his talent, because of his arm strength, and the ability to run the ball. Kind of changes games a little bit, but his arm talent is just out of this world. I'll take it.
Yeah, I hate to agree with both of y'all, but I'm taking A-Rod as well. I think he's the more talented of the two. Tom Brady is the smarter of the two, though, and that's why he works so well in that offense, because it's an easy offense. It's easy to find an open man and get it to him, but A-Rod is the more talented. He throws the ball better. He has a stronger arm, extends the play, finds the open man, and just he's more exciting to me. If I want to build my team around someone, I'm more confident that no matter what other personnel I put on the field, no matter what game plan I run, no matter how my defense plays, A-Rod is always going to show up. He's always going to put on a show, and he's going to give my team an extremely good chance to win. So that's why I'm taking A-Rod.
Who y'all got on Sunday?
I got the Patriots. I think there's so much going around the Packers. They're just not a good enough team right now to go into Foxborough and win. But if they do, it's a statement win. And it says, forget what Ty Montgomery did, forget Mason Crosby's kicks. We could go against the best and beat the best in their city and in their stadium, and that's going to be huge for them. I just don't know if they'll be able to do it. I think Bill Belichick is going to have something, but I'm expecting a shootout. There's no way in hell you're stopping Aaron Rodgers. There's no way in hell you're stopping Tom Brady. I don't give a shit what your defense is, who's on your defensive line. It doesn't matter. This is going to be one of the best games I think ever played in National Football League history because of who it is and where they are in their careers. I think it's going to be so much fun, but I got the Pats.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be an extremely good game, but I think the Pats are just better all-around team. The Packers don't have a starting Pro Bowl safety because they traded him for a fourth-rounder. It's going to be pretty easy to beat them over the top, and the Patriots have a pretty good wide receiver that can do that in Josh Gordon or Chris Hogan. So I'm taking the Pats. Yeah, I agree, though. This is going to be a super fun game to watch.
Yeah, give me the Packers. Then y'all taking the Patriots. Also, Packers. I tend to root for the Packers. I don't know why. Maybe it's A-Rod, but give me the Packers. Killing all that noise y'all talking about with trading away their pro safety and their third running back and the Patriots being a better team. Yeah, forget all that. Give me the Packers. I think A-Rod pulls some shit out of his ass because the conversation between A-Rod and Tom Brady, and A-Rod's the underdog, so I'm going to take A-Rod. But also, I forgot to comment on this. You're right, Razan. That commercial, one of the best commercials I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Brilliant.
I never even realized that Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers were the same number.
I did. I knew that. It never.
Yeah, so like when MJ was like, and they were the same number, I'm like, holy shit, is he coming at LeBron right now?
Yeah.
And on some Game of Thrones type shit, the music drops. And
yeah,
I'm like,
bro.
yo, like this is amazing.
Bro.
I watched that commercial 3 times. I swear to God.
Has somebody else said it? Maybe from the NFL. I might have assumed Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Probably not. But big problem for me is I don't consider Aaron Rodgers one of the best of all. Like consensus wise, I don't consider him one of the best of all time. You know what I mean? His career's not really done. He hasn't really done enough. If we were to list it as far as like America goes, Aaron Rodgers is probably number 5 or number 6 on the list. If a football population could come to a consensus.
Yeah.
I think his career numbers just aren't good enough. He's been hurt a lot. He started the first few years behind Brett Favre.
On the bench.
Yeah,
so.
which he's had one major injury in his career, but it seems like Aaron Rodgers is continuously hurt and continuously missing time. His knees are just fucked up, and that's just something that he's going to have to come to terms with. I think in his late 30s, I don't think he's the type of quarterback who will be playing in his 40s. But at the end of the day, I think we're still going to talk about A-Rod as one of the best ever because I do think he'll win at least one more Super Bowl before it's all said and done for him.
I agree.
And Brady might even win one more before it's all said and done for him.
I agree there too. Okay, we're going to switch gears real quick. Switch over to the NBA. Following that Jimmy Butler stuff. That's going to get it really interesting. Can't wait to see how that plays out. But also some teams just aren't performing like we thought they would. The Lakers are 2-5. The Rockets are 1-5. The Wizards are 1-6. How do you guys feel? Most of us didn't hold the Wizards to be that great, but 1-6 is really bad. The Rockets being 1-5 also really bad. We all thought they would be a top 3 team in the West. And the Lakers at 2-4. It's not great. It's not that bad though, but we could kind of maybe excuse them for some chemistry and suspension issues, but at the same time, they don't look that great. They've got some pretty glaring holes that don't really say they're a top team in the West. So how do you guys feel about these 3 teams or 2 of the teams or whatever you want to do, and how you feel about their start thus far?
Yeah, some are just really surprising starts. I really wonder how LeBron feels playing for a team that he knows isn't going to be all that well. When we talked about where NBA standings are going to end up in the West, we pretty much all had the Lakers as a top 3 team, which can still happen. The Lakers have 75 games left in the season, so we're not trying to overreact here. Slow start for a LeBron team. When the Heat first got together in 2011, they had a similar start, and I think in the first 20 games, they were 1 game above 500. And we might see something similar here, but this is an extremely young team, and it's hard for a bunch of veterans to come in when guys like Brandon Ingram, guys like Lonzo Ball have really been playing with other young guys. And I know the mood has to change. The way they practice has to change. The things that they – like, we haven't heard anything from any of the young guys on the Lakers since LeBron got there. Like, no more dicking
or LeVar
around.
Ball.
Yeah, or LeVar Ball. Like, things have changed since LeBron got there, and that's what LeBron demands, and that's what he expects. And I love LeBron for it, but I don't know, like, not seeing LeBron dominate is going to be weird. The Rockets are so surprising. There's a lot going on in Houston that I think we may not know about. I think this whole Rajon Rondo thing, saying CP3 isn't a good teammate, I think that's kind of blowing things out of proportion. Like, a lot of people are starting to question CP3 as a basketball player. He's a visionary. He's one of the best passers and point guards of all time. But as a teammate in the locker room, how likable is he? He was there last year, and they did pretty damn well. They probably would have been in the championship had he not been hurt Game 6. So it's kind of interesting to see this type of dynamic. James Harden is always on and off, on and off, on and off. And when I mean on and off, I mean his shooting percentage, not his points, because those usually don't fluctuate. If he can become a more consistent scorer, if his field goal percentage can be more consistent around like the 48%, the 50% mark, this team wouldn't have a lot of these problems. When it comes to Washington, I don't know what the plan is. When you have to look at Dwight Howard as your leader and as for someone to come pick up your team, that's not a good problem to have. That's not a good situation to be in. This is a lost team. I had them as my surprise 4th seed. I don't even know if they're going to be the 8th seed the way the season has started. And I'm not even trying to overreact on this, but it's just the fact that they have to look for Dwight Howard to come in and save them. And Dwight's a great player. I think at a point he was one of the best center. He was the best center in the league and the most dominating player in the paint. Those days are long gone, and they're just kind of in a bad situation. And I live in D.C. now, and a lot of people are already disappointed. But I guess it's good for me, so I can go to more Wizards games.
Yeah, for me, the Rockets or the Wizards aren't so surprising. I don't expect them to be a great team this year. They'll probably make the playoffs, but I don't think they go past the first round just because I think they got worse, and I don't think they were that good to begin with since last year. But the Rockets, I definitely don't know what's going on with them. They didn't really make any huge changes besides Trevor Ariza and Carmelo, so they should be better than this. And for the Lakers, any team with LeBron, I expect to be better than 2 and 5. But at the same time, we're only 7 games in, and I'm not going to base the whole season off the 7 games. It's just been a little disappointing, but I see LeBron getting more control of the team and, taking over a little bit more. And I think they'll definitely finish where we thought they would at first, top 4, top 3. And the Rockets, I think they have a little more work to do, but I do think they're a worse team this year because Trevor Ariza brought a two-way mentality, and Carmelo basically just takes threes, and that's it. So yeah, I'm like the Wizards and Rockets. I'm not going to say I'm not surprised, but expect that more than where the Lakers are right now. I think the Lakers will turn it around quicker than the other two.
Yeah, I agree with that. Agree. I think the Lakers will turn it around fast. I think the Rockets might end up being the better team. But like both of you guys have said, Lakers are interesting. I just think they need time to gel and get it together. I don't know if you noticed, my boy Lonzo is shooting a lot better, and so I'm rooting for Lonzo Ball and the Lakers. I think they'll put their pieces together. I'm not really worried about that. The Rockets should be legitimately worried. I think the loss of Trevor Ariza, like you said, is huge. They're in the bottom 5 defensive rating. They weren't like that last year. They haven't always been the best defensive team. D'Antoni, don't really care about defense, but they still defended people. I think they lost Mahabute and Trevor Ariza, and that's killing them. Melo coming in, give or take, doesn't really hurt them, except like you said, he's the exact opposite of Trevor Ariza, so it's only something that factor. And the Wizards are a little interesting. I don't really think they're going to turn it around because, like you said, they're waiting on Dwight Howard to save them, so they're definitely fucked. And they're also in the bottom 5 of defensive rating, so it's you're not really guarding anybody. They're not that strong offensively. Bradley Beal, like you talked about before, with our NBA preview, they're kind of reaching the end of their journey together, and I think they're running on like fumes at this point. I really don't think they have much left in them. And to jump back to Houston, Razan, what you said about CP3 and his teammate thing, I don't think that's getting to Houston simply because he's always been known as a bad teammate. Watch any interview about somebody talking about CP3 as a teammate. It either goes one of two ways. They're kind of like, yeah, he's a cool dude, really good basketball player. I don't really have no beef with him. Like, really neutral, not really trying to say nothing negative. Or it's, I hated him as a teammate. Great basketball player, but hated him as a teammate. No one really says anything positive about Chris Paul as a teammate. So, and I think Houston knew that when they signed him. I think the players kind of knew that when they signed him. I think players talk, so they know. Like, CP3 is just a dick in the locker room. He's great on the court. He's just a dick in the locker room. So that's just, The Houston Rockets, they got bigger problems than CP3 being a decent teammate. They can't guard anybody. Like, not a soul. And actually, the Rockets' offensive rating is also bottom 5, so they can't score the ball either. I don't know what they plan on doing. Not scoring or defending anybody, so we'll see. But I think in order, I think the Lakers can get to 500 pretty soon, get above 500 actually pretty soon. I think the Rockets gonna take some time. I think they gotta really figure out what they're gonna do. And I don't know if the Wizards are really ever gonna get to 500. To be honest with you.
All right, so that's gonna do it for this week of PSA. Y'all got anything else to say?
No. What the fuck was that, bro? Nah, just watch my Nuggets. They about to play the Bulls, and my Nuggets are hooping, y'all.
Yeah,
hooping.
The Nuggets look good.
Yeah, they do.
Let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's get it.
Just watch the Patriots-Packers game Sunday night, 8:20. You're not going to be disappointed. It's a game of two legends.
It really is. That's going to be a great game. Y'all take care out here. Make sure to catch us on Twitter, catch us on our past pods, and make sure to check us out next week. Thank y'all for listening, and we're out of here.